As we enter the final weeks before the release of The Rise of Skywalker, we've seen quite a few new TV spots for the film. They're too short to do individual breakdowns on, but I thought I'd go through them and talk about some of the new footage. I'm just going to go in order of things that were released, and we'll start with the spot titled End. Rey can be seen in the white room that holds Vader's helmet. I assume this is shortly before she and Kylo destroy it together. There's a bunch of stuff we've seen before on Pasaana, but then we cut to probably our best look at Kijimi, and Rey and Kylo are looking at each other with lightsabers drawn. I don't know how many times they face each other in this movie. Kijimi, the Death Star, the White Room, Pasaana, it's a lot. But then we see Kylo with his repaired mask in the White Room, and he seems to be giving a slight nod. This could be him and Rey agreeing to destroy the helmet. And then Rey stands in a hangar as the Falcon flies up, knocking stormtroopers back. She leaps out of the hangar to where Finn waits. You can just barely see some lights below, so I think this is probably in high atmosphere above Kijimi. I've seen some people complaining that Rey passes through the magnetic field of the hangar, but literally all that does is keep oxygen in. Ships pass through them all the time. The next spot is called Fate and shows the Knights of Ren on Pasaana. We've still seen very little of them in the marketing, but it's cool to see them all together in broad daylight, and they pop up in another TV spot we'll talk about later. There's also a shot of Kylo fighting in the snowy or maybe ashy woods. This is probably a continuation of the shot from the teaser in a similar setting. I want to guess this is also on Kijimi, but I have no idea. There's a really quick shot of Finn and Janna fighting against some Sith troopers on the hull of a Star Destroyer. We'll talk about the Sith troopers a little later when we get an even better look at them, but they've been even more absent than the Knights of Ren in all the marketing. Next up is the 30-second clip that was released. Rey, Poe, Finn, 3PO, Chewie, and BB-8 are on Pasaana being chased by the First Order. I believe JJ said this was early on in the film. It's pretty simple, but the First Order is pursuing them on tread speeders, which can catapult their jet trooper passengers into the air. And the Star Wars fandom being what it is, some people got all up in arms over this little bit of footage. Mostly people who are desperate to be mad at everything that comes out no matter what. First, I saw some complaints that the First Order was using a ground vehicle that doesn't hover, as if those have never existed in Star Wars, and then with the revelation of the jet troopers, 3PO, Finn, and Poe all act surprised that they can fly now. Shouldn't Finn know about jet troopers? Hell, Poe has seen them before in his comic. But it's going to be new to most everyone in the theater watching this movie. I do agree that, yeah, Finn and Poe's realistic reaction should simply be, oh no, jet troopers, but to get so bent out of shape that a fun adventure movie instead decides to let the audience experience something new and fun alongside the characters using some fun banter is just silly. Lighten up and have some fun. Anyway, let's move on to the TV spot Duel, and that one has easily been my most watched because of its use of Duel of the Fates from The Phantom Menace. As Rey and Kylo face off on the Death Star wreckage, Palpatine claims this will be the final word in the story of Skywalker. I really love the spite in that delivery, like the Emperor is just so sick of this family and he's out for blood. We see more of the speeder chase on Pasaana, which still looks exciting and fun. Then we see the Falcon flying inside some frozen structure chased by TIE fighters. This is kinda reminiscent of its flight through the Super Star Destroyer in The Force Awakens. If I had to guess, I'm thinking they're inside that frozen iceberg thing we've seen floating in space in the trailers. Finn is in the gunner's seat, and this is reminding me so much of him escaping the Star Destroyer with Poe. That's one of my favorite scenes in the sequel trilogy so far, and I hope we get that same sense of fun and banter between our heroes. Then we're shown part of that big battle and all the Star Destroyers lifting off into the sky, and we get a really good look at some TIE daggers. An X-Wing is shot down, and Poe seems to be reacting to its destruction. That could be Snap in that fighter, although I hope it's not. More likely it's just a random fighter and they're just editing in Poe's reaction from something else, I hope. Then we see Rey with her hood up on what looks like Octo, and she's watching Kylo Ren's TIE Whisper burning. I was not expecting Octo to play into this movie at all. I'm still not sure that's Octo, but I'm just flabbergasted at the amount of locations we've seen in these trailers. This movie is going all over the place. I wonder if this is actually part of a vision or something, like maybe Rey is seeing a vision of her fears. She's seeing a possible future where Kylo Ren dies, and then maybe that leads her down the dark side, and that's where we get the vision of Darkseid Rey. There's a quick shot of Babu Frick letting out a cackle, and then Kylo walks across the ice or cracked ground or wherever that is, and it looks like there's a ceiling above him. Again, I'm gonna guess this is on that floating space iceberg thing. There's a fast shot of him swinging his saber, and I think that is actually on Kajimi because there are like teapots in the background, so I'd guess this is a separate part of the movie. And finally, we close out with Rey staring at the Emperor's throne thingy in awe or fear. And that's it for this spot, but the music really makes it, hearing some prequel music mixed in with the Imperial March, all on top of the sequel trilogy stuff. I hope that bodes well for the return of Duel of the Fates in the movie itself. Next up is a featurette for the Rise of Skywalker, and it's mostly a re-edit of some footage that was shown at Star Wars Celebration this past year, but with some extra reveals, so I'm gonna just cover that new stuff. There's a shot of Rey speaking with Zori Bliss on what looks like Kajimi. We did already know that they'd share at least one scene together since they're in Babu Frick's shop, but it would appear that they're going to have an actual conversation. We also see Rey sneaking around in that white room. I would guess this is the same room that holds Vader's mask that she and Kylo destroy together, and there's a look at the Tantive 4 in a vine-covered jungle. I still do think that's the Tantive 4. I know a reference book said it was destroyed, but I think the movie is going to be changing that. We see Rey among the Aki-Aki on Pasaana, and she has a necklace of beads. I'd guess the Aki-Aki give it to her, kind of welcoming her into whatever celebration they're having. Probably the most important and surprising moment of the featurette is seeing Warwick Davis dressed as an Ewok once again. I think that's confirmation that we will see Ewoks and specifically Wicket in Episode 9. I'm not expecting a ton, probably just a quick cameo or something, but still. Moving on to the next spot, this one is called Celebrate. We see Rey running across the jungle cliffs again, but then cut to inside a First Order ship following the Knights of Ren and Kylo. You can see mud or dirt in the footsteps, so this is probably after the events on Pasaana, which again supposedly take place early on in the movie. We then see Leia on that jungle planet holding the repaired Skywalker lightsaber. I wonder if she is the one to actually repair it, or maybe she's just holding on to it for sentiment. Then it's a lot of old footage for a while until we get another shot of the big starfighter battle. I don't know why, but seeing the cockpit of this B-Wing getting shot off just speaks to me. It's awesome. Then we see Poe flying the Falcon through some green haze. This matches up with an international spot I've seen floating around on Twitter. The Falcon is being chased by TIE fighters again, and some big ol' monster pops out of the haze. I'll go back to that spot later. But moving on, then we see some starfighters and a blockade runner flying through some red environment. I have no clue what's going on here. It reminds me of the Magic School Bus or something in that episode where they shrink down and go inside a human body. This all looks very cellular to me for some reason, but that can't be right. The final spot released on the official Star Wars channel is called Hold On. There isn't much new footage in this except for Rey mind-tricking some stormtroopers and Poe worrying that she does that to him and Finn. And there's an extra shot of the TIE Whisper on Pasaana as it flies towards Rey. Again, not a ton from this one, so I guess they're running out of things they're willing to give away. But finally, I want to touch on that international spot because it's the best look we've had so far at the Sith Troopers. They're landing on the Star Destroyer to fight against the charging resistance, and there's also a really fast look at the Sith Jet Trooper. I don't see any white armored stormtroopers on their side, so again, I'm really hoping they aren't only fighting against the Resistance, but also rebellious standard stormtroopers. And there's also this shot of a Resistance fleet dropping out of hyperspace. It's the same shot that was included back in the D23 footage, but now the effects are finished, and the lightning places this moment alongside the battle with all the Star Destroyers. And those are all the new significant shots I caught in all these TV spots. I wouldn't be surprised if another spot comes out by the time I release this video. We are definitely in the final stretch, where people stop complaining that we haven't seen any marketing at all, and now it feels like we're seeing too much. But I still don't think I have a solid handle on how this movie is going to play out, in what order, or anything. And guess what happened? Just like I said, I completely finished this video, and then another spot called Adventure released, so I'll tack it on here. There's a little bit more of Rey's training with the remotes. Hopefully they're not expensive because she is just destroying them. There's more of the chase with the Falcon inside that icy interior, and we get this neat shot of the Falcon's turrets. But most intriguing is Rey and Kylo in the White Room. It's easily our best look at that room so far, and I've previously been guessing that she and Kylo might be on the same side at this point, maybe destroying Vader's helmet together, but no? Now it looks like they're straight up fighting, and maybe the helmet's destruction is just collateral damage. There's also a cool and fast shot of Finn and Janna shooting at Sith Troopers again. Finn has something wrapped around his arm. It might be a bandolier full of explosives or something. But let me know if you caught anything I missed in all of these TV spots in the comments. If you haven't already, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and consider checking out our Patreon page. As always, thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.